Welcome. What a great event this is. In their opening keynotes, Vinka and Johan were talking about how this isn't really a LoRaWAN event anymore. This is a broadening the ecosystem, talking about a lot of other technologies. And you have that in microcosm in this session. We've got some very smart people here to talk about all of their various standards. You've heard a little bit from them already, but if I can get you, for the purposes of this session, to do a quick introduction to yourselves, and then we'll kick off with some questions from me. So if I can start at this end.
Certainly. Damon Barnes, Bluetooth Special Interest Group, SIG. I'm the Director of Technical Marketing within our promotion organization.
Avi Rosenthal, CEO of the Z-Wave Alliance.
Consuelo Ortiz, nobody at Wi-Fi Alliance.
Alper Yegin, CEO of LoRa Alliance.
Okay, fantastic. Now you know who's on the stage. First question. The title of the panel was about the proliferation of standards and the impact that might have on IoT. Right? So, first question, does the fact that we have so many, maybe this is a slightly obvious question, but I think we should tackle it anyway, does that proliferation of standards, the fact that there's so many different standards, actually affect the scalability and the time to market for IoT deployments, or does it help? So I'm going to start with you down this end.
It can certainly cause challenges, but you have to, I think, we as standards organizations, we have to work to collaborate across standards to be able to provide solutions for implementers and developers to be able to understand the potential costs, items they may run into, scale challenges, and then having information that's provided by us through cross-standards collaboration, we can help implementers and developers and implementers make more intelligent choices for their solutions that they deploy.
Okay, so you don't see the fragmentation as a problem exactly?
It certainly can be a problem, but it's something you have to kind of think about and have a strategy for how you're going to deal with that.
Okay. Avi, you seem very keen to jump in on this, on that one.
So my background is in product development. So before I became and actually I'm a volunteer, believe it or not, for Z-Wave. So I still have a day job where I help companies design and develop products. And in my opinion, the proliferation
I shouldn't have used that word, should I? Everybody was always going to stumble over that one.
Proliferation of protocol, which is not easy to say, but is very important to our industry. I think each of our standards solves specific needs within a marketplace. And I think that trying to have one ubiquitous protocol, sort of one to solve them all, is not a good way of developing product. As a product engineer, you want the flexibility of being able to pick and choose the right way to solve the problem that you're trying to solve. Choice is ultimately the reason, or ultimately the goal, that you have in developing that system to provide the right protocol, the right solution for your customers. I think if you try to pigeonhole everybody down into one system, what you end up with is lowest common denominator. And so you sort of vanillaize, you homogenize the protocols to such a degree that you can't get the right information from point A to point B because you have to be compatible with so many other things. And I think it's difficult when you do product development to try to fit yourself into that niche if it's not the right one. And so the fragmentation actually works better for customer choice, whether that customer is a residential, industrial, agricultural, doesn't matter, but that choice, so they can choose the right solution for the right problem, ultimately serves everybody.
And part of the problem, I guess, is just the term IoT, because it's so broad, it covers so many different use cases and applications that actually maybe that's a challenge, because
I hate the term IoT. I've hated the term IoT since day one. But
Consuelo, could I come to you? Yes.
Yeah. So first of all, we have difficulty understanding what your questions are because the way the speakers are located, both of us can't hear very well. But I'm guessing the discussion is why we have fragmentation and why do we have so many standards serving a single market?
You've got it.
And the reason is because IoT is in every environment, and every environment has myriads of products. Each product and combination of product and environment has different requirements that would need to be supported perhaps by different standards. And this is why we are all here. Right. So what we should work and strive towards is figuring out how can we help each other to promote the market.
Agreed.
Right. Alper, I'm guessing you're going to agree with all of what you've heard so far.
Yeah, I would definitely. So I mean, in an ideal world, there should be one technology that solves all problems, but we all know that that is not practical. In a practical world, there is really no one size fits all, obviously, and all these technologies are very complementary, and it's a really beautiful lineup here. And now for the number of applications we have in the IoT world, I would even say this is good that we have so few technologies catering to so many, endlessly many applications. So I think that that's really good. And then we can also further have collaboration among technologies, like maybe integrating at the application layer. There are multiple ways we can further reduce the complexity of integration in the face of multiplicity of technologies. Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest challenge would be is that it's not the complementary technologies, but having multiple different technologies contending for the same area. And we will be seeing various types of consolidations in the future, and that complexity will also start to go away.
Okay. I'll come on to some of those themes in some of the subsequent questions. But there's probably people sitting in the audience who are application developers, making choices about technologies. So I wanted to do a quick kind of run through of, well, which applications are your technologies most capable for, and if somebody's sitting thinking, okay, well, I've got to do this, this, and this, which one would be the optimum to choose? I'm going to come back down the line. So Alper, what's the sweet spot for LoRaWAN?
Sure. So for us, the sweet spot is if you have IoT devices that needs to communicate either through a super long range, like tens of miles, and while doing that, if it needs to operate on a small battery, that is clearly where we are operating. Or it's not long range, but the communication has to go through multiple obstacles like walls, cabinets, metallic barriers, and all that. Again, this plays into our domain. And secondly, if you want to have low-cost autonomy that you don't want to rely on operator, like what cellular operators do, again, LoRaWAN is your choice because it uses unlicensed band. As such, you can build a network here, at home, in the office, in the open, and all that. Now, I can also tell the audience where not to use LoRaWAN. If your devices require megabytes and gigabytes of data per day, LoRaWAN is not good for that because we're using unlicensed band, sub-gig. There's traffic limitations. Or if you require a truly real-time communication, like controlling a robotic surgical arm or controlling a drone, things like that, again, that's not what LoRaWAN is for because you need a licensed band to operate for that.
Awesome. And that's quite a good way to answer the question. Consuelo, if I can ask you, what's Wi-Fi good for? What's Wi-Fi not good for?
Okay, I didn't, but I don't know if I'm going to address your question or not, because I didn't know if I understood it correctly. But anyway, for the Wi-Fi perspective, because we offer solutions in different frequencies, we kind of tackle a lot of environments that way, with 60 gigahertz and sub 1 gigahertz, and the standard Wi-Fi. But yes, we really shine in areas where you need a lot of data. And if you're streaming video from a camera. And then depending on the environment, you're going to choose a standard Wi-Fi technology or Wi-Fi Halo, for example, if you need longer range than traditional Wi-Fi. With Wi-Fi Halo, we've seen over a kilometer inside the house or outside even more than that. Trials have shown 3 kilometers or so, but let's say it's 1 kilometer. It's definitely longer than Wi-Fi, and it has lower power. But if your application is, a headset and you're streaming XR, you may want to use 60 gigahertz. So it depends on the environment.
Good stuff. Avi.
So with Z-Wave, it's all about choice. The strength of the Z-Wave is the most robust command language out there. Nobody has defined command and control libraries as well as the Z-Wave Alliance has. So if you're looking to design and develop a product, you need long range, you need battery or even no battery, and you need encryption. The clear choice is Z-Wave. The other beauty is once you have a Z-Wave certified product, it is now compatible within the entire ecosystem. So if you're looking to do command and control, instead of having to write your own language and your own libraries to decide how your device interacts with other devices, the structure is already built within the Z-Wave world. And so it makes it very easy for developers to design and develop new solutions within the framework without having to sort of reinvent the wheel every time they come up with a new solution.
Okay, and Damon?
Yes, so Bluetooth technology is obviously very broad. Some of our strengths, though, of course, we're probably most known for wireless audio and wireless voice communication. But we're also in almost all of these wearable type devices where or HID devices where you want to not have a cable for controlling or interfacing with a computer or screen type device. And that can be in a home and that can be in industrial settings like human machine interface or HMIs as well, right? And then a third area is localization type use cases and solutions. So we're talking about asset tracking, Find My type networks, and even access control, digital key, automotive. Bluetooth technologies often used not only for locating items, but as the data transport for ranging, when you're farther away from, say, an automobile as you approach. And then the solution may switch to something like UWB or even NFC as you get really close. And then the last area where we are increasingly seeing more and more adoption of Bluetooth type solutions is what we call device networks. So this could be mesh networks that are used for wireless lighting control, primarily in commercial space. Bluetooth mesh isn't used too much really in the home, but in smart buildings, commercial, lots of traction with Bluetooth mesh. And then I mentioned in the talk earlier as well, electronic shelf labels, retail type deployments. That's another area where Bluetooth has a standard that's growing pretty quickly. And so those are probably four main areas where Bluetooth is used quite a bit and has a strong offering. And then like if I have to answer and say areas of weakness or areas where maybe you wouldn't use Bluetooth, really long range communication. Obviously we're shorter range to medium range type applications.
Okay. I'm going to stick with you and we'll do the going along the line again. Change of tack of question. You're all representing alliances or SIG in the case of Bluetooth. What's the role of the alliance or the special interest group? What do you do? And particularly I'm thinking about the ecosystem as well as maybe around standards development. So, Damon, if you could kick off on that.
Let me have a quick drinker. So the SIG, we oversee obviously all things Bluetooth technology, everything from standards development to qualification and certification, and to also functioning as the trade organization. So you do everything under that umbrella of the Bluetooth Special Interest Group. And so it makes us a little bit unique. There's some benefits and then some challenges as well. But we're basically the one, and one thing I guess I left out was licensing the trademark, or so use of the Bluetooth registered mark and all that good stuff. So the Bluetooth SIG, it's really we're a one-stop shop for all things Bluetooth technology.
Okay, good. Avi?
So in the case of Z-Wave, we are the standards development organization, right? So we're the SDO. So it is our responsibility to be the stewards of the protocol to make sure that the open standard remains open and viable, that it is that all the products go through certification. So we manage the certification process. But more than that, we're really the idea engine for the protocol itself. Our members drive ideas within the SDO. They drive new concepts. And then we are the stewards of those ideas into the SDO and into the open protocol. And so it's much more than just, yes, we're a marketing arm, yes, we're a trade organization, yes, we're a standards body, all of that. But what we do at the Alliance is we're much more of a family. There are a number of members of the Z-Wave Alliance that have been members for 20 plus years. And so we look at it as an opportunity when we gather at our conferences, and we have them around the world, to really dig into solving the problems that exist within the IoT space and IoT industries. And the Alliance gets to play the role of sort of gathering those ideas and forming them and helping them be birthed within the protocol itself.
Good stuff. Consuelo,
Yeah.
did you hear my question?
Yes, I
Okay,
did. I
good.
did hear this one. I heard his answer.
Okay, that's a good start.
Yes. For Wi-Fi Alliance, I mean, we are the place where the ecosystem comes to drive technology development in Wi-Fi technologies. So we first start with members getting together and aligning on the features that they believe the market is going to adopt to ensure interoperability, and put them together in test plans to drive our certification process. If you look at development of Wi-Fi 7 and now Wi-Fi 8, I mean, the largest commotion is at the very beginning, where they are distilling out all the trillions of features that IEEE comes out with into what is actually implementable, what is actually the industry is going to adopt and deploy, so that we ensure interoperability across vendors. And that is probably the highest point of negotiation, what goes into a standard. And of course, we certify, we have a brand that allows our members to differentiate their products. We have a marketing network, and we extend the message from our members, helping them promote their products, their Wi-Fi products. But we also are advocates. We are always trying to drive for more spectrum availability. We work with governments and regulatory entities to educate them and to ensure that we have the spectrum we need for Wi-Fi across the globe. Part of the success of Wi-Fi is the fact that it's globally available and it uses bands that are open to everybody. We want to continue to enjoy that. And I think the last thing for Wi-Fi is the place where the ecosystem comes to network, learn more, meet with those experts in Wi-Fi in order to drive future technology development. Thanks.
Good stuff. Thank you. Alper?
Well, obviously, we build the interoperability specs. We set the standard for LoRaWAN, and then we certify devices to validate their compliance with the standard, and we market this technology altogether. But what I like to highlight is LoRa Alliance is extremely collaborative. I have been doing standards and alliances for more than a quarter of a century now, having seen a lot. LoRa Alliance is one of the most collaborative environments. As such, by becoming a member and joining this work, people see that, or companies see that, LoRa Alliance works as an extension to their R&D. So by sitting side by side with a handful of world's best LoRaWAN experts, they not only solve the problems for everyone, but they do have a lot of conversations to help individual companies solve their technical problems as well. Same thing with business development and marketing as well, where there's tremendous amount of collaboration. For 1 unit of effort you put into an alliance like LoRa Alliance, you get 10 units of return. Again, it's all based on collaboration, and the reason it is super collaborative is we are tackling a huge problem, basically doing a digital transformation of the whole planet, right? All together here, with other organizations as well. As such, no single company can pull it off. Even if you put like hundreds of companies next to each other, the added power doesn't measure up to the need. Only when they start working together, then we have this explosive result, and that's the nature of our alliance as well.
Okay, good stuff.
Agreed.
In the interest of keeping my panelists on their toes, I'm going to ask a question that I didn't mention ahead of time. Always a good one. We do very detailed market forecasts. We're always interested in things, therefore, that are going to reduce the barriers to entry for developing new applications, expand the market. So I'd be interested if you could talk a little bit to some of the features within the technologies that are coming up that will reduce the barriers to entry, maybe extending battery life or extending coverage or just extending capability. So Alper, if I can start with you. I'm doing a good sort of zigzag back and forth, but yeah, let's start with you, Alper.
Sure, yeah. On our front, I mean, there are multiple dimensions we're pushing the technology evolution. I can mention one of them, which is extending the network coverage, obviously. So we have multiple work streams working on extending the coverage, making it more scalable and at an even lower cost. Obviously, we're working on the satellite networks that are already commercial providers. Two LEO constellations are providing connectivity, and we're working further to make it totally out-of-box, fully interoperable, and even maybe integrating networks as well. So that's one dimension on the network front. Another one is we're working on a walk-by, drive-by reading, which is basically a mobile gateway. And that is in addition to what we had shipped, the relay, which is also a very low-cost gateway. And we also have a single-channel gateway feature, which is starting to gain traction in the market. And that is working towards embedding LoRaWAN gateways into various types of electronics to present a very low-cost way of achieving coverage, especially indoors. So we have all these additional things pushing the envelope on the coverage side. Fantastic.
Consuelo?
So for Wi-Fi Alliance, I mean, we cover many technologies. So one of the ones that I want to point out on new developments is Wi-Fi sensing. So Wi-Fi sensing, we see a lot of applications for the automotive industry, in child presence detection, in the home for the aging community, like keep your parents living at their house. So there are several applications. We also have Wi-Fi location, pass point, and the way we drive technology development is we have market segment groups that are the voice that are collecting the use cases and gaps in different markets. So we have one for IoT, even though the IoT is a device class, it's not a market segment. We have one for XR, we have healthcare operators, automotive. So we are constantly collecting use cases that are later on taken into the groups that develop technology. And the groups that develop technology are the ones that are going to finalize and do the test plans and drive for certification. So I don't want to give the whole list. I mean, if somebody is interested and wants to talk to me, I'll be here the rest of the day. But we do have a lot of areas of expertise that we're driving towards. And in terms of Wi-Fi generation, of course, Wi-Fi 7, and we already have a Wi-Fi 8 group working on that. So we're constantly driving towards acceleration and new Wi-Fi technology development.
Good stuff. Abby.
So for Z-Wave, it's all about expanding our technology. Instead of being just a mesh now, we have point-to-point solutions. We have Z-Wave long range. We have solutions that no longer require a power source, right? No longer require a battery. We have solutions that expanded the command classes to include all kinds of new applications. Consuelo mentioned aging in place. Aging in place is a very big one. In America, the baby boom generation is all becoming older. They want to stay at home. We have companies dedicated to that. But more importantly than that, it's all about looking forward at what wireless technologies are going to look like in 3, 5, 10 years from now. If you look at 3, 5, 10 years ago, there were all kinds of stumbling blocks that were placed before the industries in order that were needed to solve to make IoT that much more efficient. At Z-Wave, we're tackling each of those as we look 3, 5, 10 years out. Better encryption, safer technologies, better battery life, longer range, more command classes, and more interoperability. The reason why we're so excited to be here at the Things Conference is because one of our key tenets is interoperability not only within the Z-Wave Alliance itself, but with the other alliances and the other RF technologies that exist out there. We are bridged as Z-Wave to more other technologies than any other technology is bridged to another. In other words, Z-Wave is the core technology of a number of different companies, and then they bridge to other things to solve other problems, like video transmission or audio transmission. And so we take that role very seriously, and as we look forward in the Z-Wave technology, bridging our technology to others becomes very important to solve not only this Internet of Things, as we like to talk about it, but the global smart city, smart community that's the next evolution in the connected device realm.
Good stuff. And Damon, you were at about 5 billion connected devices already and heading for 7-point-something billion devices in the next few years, right? So things that are coming with Bluetooth.
Yeah, so just to reiterate, one of the enhancements that I spoke about just earlier is Bluetooth channel sounding. You have this wall of fame here with all these interesting LoRaWAN products. I was looking through them earlier, and I lost count the number of products that were LoRaWAN, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and then might be Z-Wave, might be satellite connectivity. But the Bluetooth channel sounding feature that enables this really secure, precise distance measurements using Bluetooth technology, I think it's a really interesting feature to potentially be incorporated in these multi-standard products that are on the Wall of Fame, because with the Bluetooth channel sounding feature, the device could wake up, run a procedure, get a fairly precise distance measurement, and use that information to make more informed decisions about whatever the application area may be. So that's one. Another one that I'm going to speak on here in just a bit is the high data throughput feature enhancement that we're going to be releasing next year. With that feature enhancement, we're going to increase the throughput of Bluetooth LE to 7.5 megabits per second. So that's about a 4x increase of the existing data rate. So that's going to allow us to get on and off faster, reduce the duty cycle, right? And so that will help, save energy. I mean, obviously you increase throughput, but there's also options to increase energy efficiency, actually. And then number 3, we're also working to enable Bluetooth LE operation in higher mid-band spectrum. So we're going to, a couple years from now, hopefully release Bluetooth features that enable Bluetooth LE operation in 5 and 6 gigahertz unlicensed. So there we'll be working, hopefully adjacent with Wi-Fi, right? And, going after our same use cases, but just having, cleaner spectrum to work in, higher data throughput and the like. So those are kind of the big 3 that I think I'd mention to keep an eye on for Bluetooth.
Good stuff. We're at time, but I've been told we can overrun a little bit if we're quick. And we didn't get to several of the questions that I had. But I think one important one in the context of this event is, well, how can the different alliances, special interest group, and so on work together? What do you think the opportunities are for interoperability, collaboration, working together? And Damon, maybe I'll give you the first go at that. Well, actually, Abby,
go for it.
You want to go first?
The only reason why I raised my hand is there's actually there's a large controversy going on right now in America. The 900 megahertz bandwidth is under attack by a specific company, and so it's an excellent example of how the alliances have come together. Each of the alliances up on the stage have actually joined forces with one another to go as a unifying voice and discuss not only the benefits of all of our technologies to the Federal Communications Commission, but we've banded together in that messaging. And so I think that that's really, it's not a technology play necessarily, but it's a marketing, it's a professional, it's an advocacy, thank you, an advocacy play that really makes sense, and it shows that the alliances don't have to always be, there's always this bone of contention of, the Wi-Fi guys did this over here and the Z-Wave guys did this over here. And at the end of the day, we all solve certain solutions, we all have certain solutions to certain problems. Working together has proven to be much more beneficial as alliances than it was sort of beating each other up in the press or beating each other up on the CES show floor. And so I think that's really the goal here, and why it was so exciting to be on this stage with all of you, at this conference with all of you, is to show that it's not a us and them game. It's let's solve the problems that humanity is facing. Yes, we're playing a small part. I don't want to make us sound more grandiose than we are, but we're playing a small part, and I think we can do it interoperably rather than against one another.
Okay.
I agree.
Anybody else want to contribute? Consuelo, yes.
I agree 100%, and I'm very thankful to the thing for having all of us together and the ability to share this with the audience. For us, advocacy is very important, and yes, we need to band together. The end of the game is how can we jointly promote this market? The promise of IoT is huge. It's difficult to get there, it's difficult to attain, so how can we band together instead of fighting each other,
exactly,
and make a big push for this market to grow? We all have niches. We all have favorite applications, environments, and let's figure out how can we just promote that growth.
Okay.
Agreed.
Damon, Alper, thoughts
Yeah,
on
so
this?
I'll just echo the collaboration point that's made by both of my peers. And I mean, at the SIG, we're actually have strategic efforts underway to work more closely with external standards organizations. And we've identified internally these strategic areas of, call it overlap, but it's more like areas to collaborate to make the standards work more harmoniously together. I mean, at the end of the day, we're looking to deliver the best user experience for end users, right? For whatever their use case or application may be. So I would just echo what's been said and just say that this is a top of the list item for the SIG to collaborate more with standards organizations going forward.
Good stuff. And Alper, last word for the LoRa Alliance.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, the market is the market is so big. It might appear like there are a bunch of technologies that are competing for it, but the market is so big. There's really the competition is for really accelerating the maturity of the technologies to make them usable by the market. So we're competing against the companies and organizations investing into building into products. We're competing to make sure you are not wasting your time, right? And then there's a whole lot more collaboration behind the scene, like Avi was saying, where we're on the same boat with the, we have a great collaboration across common threats that are threatening, unnecessarily, or at least wasting our cycles in the market, right? And I also have to admit, like I have listened through all the presentations from my colleagues, and that was really a great learning opportunity for me. So there's a lot of collaboration among the organizations, and at the end, we want to make sure we crack the IoT market, and it's going to benefit everyone in this floor and even beyond.
Agreed.
Excellent. I think we'll have to call it to a close there. Thank you very much. A round of applause for the panel.
Thank you.